Good morning, everyone. My name is Eltimar, and we're going to be continuing our Let's Play of Wrath of the Righteous. Where we left off last time, we just escaped from the underground tunnels beneath Kyrieru, and now we have a few people to talk to. And Nevia wants to talk to us right away. Hey, wait, mind if I bend your ear about something? Nevia is outside your door, leaning casually against a shelf. So here's the first and most important thing. Beth gave you a crucial mission, I get that. And I know you'll get the job done. I saw you in action, but here's the rub. By sending you on an errand, we're weakening our defenses here. If they come at us while you're gone, I don't know if we'll be able to fight them off. Everything seems clear so far. What else do you wish to discuss? So the rift that damn beetle left to the scythe, yeah, well, it cut the city in two, and it's kinda difficult to get across. My scouts tell me there's a halfway decent place to set up a crossing in Market Square. Not that any of them tried to make sure. But if you got the mind to go across, I think you're gonna have to eventually. You might want to give this square a once-over. Do you want me to stay here and guard the tavern? What? No. Your task is far too important. You can't just hole up here all cozy-like, waiting for the demons to knock on our door. We need to take the fight to them. But if those freaks try and make a move on this place, Beth will send a rider to get you. If that happens, you leg it back here, alright? Because if you don't, you'll come back to a ash pile. Got it? When do you think the demons will attack next? Your guess is as good as mine. Might not be here. They could attack the whole damn city. Those vermin know they've lost the upper hand, and that we're going to push back hard. If things kick off here, you should know, after they attack, some things could be changed beyond recognition, so if you got any business that needs taken care of, you better do it soon. Thanks for the warning. See you later. Later, watch yourself out there. Alright, well, let's talk to Staunton Vane. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel, one whose high, crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty, lightless windows make it clear that all inside is dead. Oh, it's you. Good work back there in the Grey Garrison, named Staunton Vane. You heard rumors about me. His face, which looks like it has never known anything as carefree as a smile, grimaces. Just so you know, everything people say about me, it's true. What do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor, as bad as Arilu Vorlesh, that I'm a disgrace, that even among the ranks of the condemned, that Queen Galfrey should never have spared me, that I belong on the gallows. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know? Staunton gives you a long, morose look and then sighs. I'm the reason why the Crusade's forces are holed up in fortresses on the edge of the world wound instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have a foothold in the wound, the mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it, until it fell, and all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I was tried, they wanted to execute me, and rightly so, but the Queen intervened. She said that I should live and fight in order to undo what I had done. So that's how I live, decade after decade, fighting in the condemned. The dwarf shrugs. As you can see, I fixed nothing, and I've earned no one's forgiveness. Are you going to spit in my face too? It wouldn't surprise me. I hope you earn forgiveness. Thank you. From the depths of my soul, I thank you, but I haven't had hope for a long, long time. Whole city fell because of you? How is that possible? What do you mean how? The night glares at you from beneath his furrowed brow. If you don't trust the word of a condemned, go ask somebody else like my brother Joran. And if you still don't believe it, what's it to me? But you're about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the 1000th time. Don't. So you really don't have any friends? I couldn't have survived this long if I was completely alone. Joran, my little brother, he keeps me going. He's never abandoned me. Everyone else shies away from me like they might catch what I've got. Even fighters in the condemned console themselves by thinking, got stripped of my rank, but at least I'm not Staunton. Commander Tierbade seems to be the only person in the whole army who remembers that I'm a soldier and not a drudge. She has no qualms about taking me into battle, and she's had some mud flung at her in the past, or so I hear. That's why she tries to keep an open mind about people. It's no surprise that she's the only one to hold on to her sense of reason in this farce. So many years in the condemned, surely you have paid your penance by now. That's not up to me to decide. My life is in the Queen's hands. He falls silent for a moment, and then in a trembling voice adds, the condemned isn't the worst part. All these years I've prayed to Torag for forgiveness countless times. I've gone to his priests countless times, have knelt before his altar. If only the father of dwarvenkind would answer my prayers just once, not to restore what I've lost, but just to tell me that I'm still one of his children. But it seems like he doesn't give a damn about me. What can I expect from mere mortals when my own god doesn't think I deserve redemption? Forget about Torag. You're just rubbing salt in the wound. The gods don't care about us. They don't deserve our prayers, let alone our suffering. I can't. An atheist can't understand how it feels when your god renounces you, just as one who's never loved can never understand how it feels when your beloved betrays you. I need to talk to the elf who calls himself the Storyteller. Do you know where to find him? The Storyteller? Staunton strokes his beard in thought. A strange old fellow, that one. He used to sit with me for hours, asking all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort. He just listened. At first I wanted him and his questions as far away from me as possible. But later I realized that talking to him did ease my burden a little. I hope he's alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble too. So if he's alone in the city, well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Black Wing. It's a library. Here. I'll show you where it is on the map. I don't know what use a library is to a blind elf, but he loved the place. He would sit there day and night. To go. Go then. Maybe we'll see each other again. Maybe indeed, Staunton. Talk to Kyato. I believe that help is already on the way. The Queen will not leave us to die. Alright, Miss Sally then. A stout old man with a fuzzy grey beard mumbles a prayer. He looks tired as everyone else in the tavern, but determination is stamped on his haggard face. What can I do for you? Who are you? I'm Vasily Rathamus, rector of the local temple of Abadar. The temple is gone though, and if we snooze here for much longer, the city will be lost as well. Here's the boy. This one, Kyato, the shepherd, my apprentice. He's a smart boy, and his faith is strong. He serves a rascal though, but there's still something he can learn from an old servant of Abadar. He'll be a great cleric when he gets a little older. What kind of help can I expect? First, I sell scrolls. Got a lot of them. Something for every emergency. Second, while you're here in the tavern, I can read one for you. Guaranteed no surprises. But you better not go into the city without a cleric. I won't be going there myself. I'm too old. My powers are needed here. We don't need his stuff, but we talked to him, so that's good. Let's take a quick rendezvous over here at the Lan. The Lan greets you with a nod. Here for a chat? I've been waiting for you to come and see what strange beast you've taken into your party. I'd like to know more about you. Let me guess, your first question is, can you wear a hat without your horn? Am I right? You speak common much better than the rest of your tribe. Funnily enough, common isn't all that common underground, Lan says, but your observation is correct. I used to live on the surface with my parents for a while, and had the chance to learn a couple things, the language, and the fact that every peasant who sees my scaly mug screams, demon, and then runs away. I don't know if you're interested, but my mom wasn't from an underground tribe. She was a smuggler, the kind that used the dungeons of Canabras to secretly move and store goods. One time, two gangs couldn't agree on how to share a prime cut, got into a fight, and the winners threw the losers down a hole, dead and living alike. My dad went to check if the corpses had anything useful on them and found a girl from the surface barely clinging to life. An incredible feeling sparked between them, or maybe the girl just liked men with scales and a cat nose. That might be it. One way or another, he got her back on her feet, and he later even left his home caves. She left her smuggling behind, and they began an honest life together. That's the story of how old Lan came into the world. The next chapter, though, my family and I never stayed in one place for long. We lived sometimes on the surface, sometimes underground. We couldn't find a place to call home. Living in the caves was hard on my mom, and my dad's appearance raised too many questions in Mendev. They're at war against the demons after all. In the end, my parents decided to stop making each other miserable and separated. My father and I returned to our tribe. I think the peasants screaming demon had something to do with it. Or maybe my dad just couldn't stand life without rat tail soup. I wouldn't rule out that possibility. Did you come with me so you could see the surface again? No, that wasn't it. I just don't have much patience for certain types of creatures, demons I mean. If they want to destroy Canabras, I'll be on the side of the people that they're attacking. Lan looks away. Lan, you're my companion. My companions should trust each other. I'm counting on you to give me honest answers, not excuses. Lan looks ashamed. I guess you're right. I shouldn't have been so evasive. It's just that some things are hard to talk about. My family, for example. My birth, hell take me, turned out to be a great misfortune for my parents, all because I'm relatively healthy. I'm the best thing that can come from the marriage between a cave-dwelling mongrel and anyone from the surface. A healthy child with the right number of hands and feet, no apparent defects, no missing organs or other problems. They saw hope in me, so risked having more children. They thought it would somehow be alright. A growl edges into Lan's voice. I could have had 4 brothers. The first one was born 2 years after me, and died 3 years later. He didn't have a nose. Nothing even remotely resembling one. He could only breathe through his mouth. Mom and Dad were afraid to take their eyes off of him for fear he'd choke and suffocate on something, but in the end, it was his weak heart that killed him. And there was another pregnancy and birth. I pretended I was sleeping, but snuck out of my bedroom and listened under the door all those hours. It was very strange, but I never heard the newborn screaming. Mom moaning, yes, the priest praying. Then I dared open the door a little and looked inside. The priest stood there, very pale. One of them was holding something, a small object that fit in his palm. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" And the other said, "I think it's a head." Lan stops. Please go on. Lan pauses, exhales, and continues in a steadier voice. Turned out that this time Mom was expecting triplets. The first of the babies was born in pieces, the other 2 didn't live long enough to draw their first breath. About 3 weeks later, My father took me to the caves. He didn't want to leave, I could see it in his face, but I think my mom and he decided it together. The curse my people have carried since the first crusade stood between them, not to mention the 4 dead babies. And old age was rapidly taking its toll on my father. After we returned to the cave, he only lived another 4 years. So if you're asking me why I decided to go with you to the surface and hunt the Crusaders, and join the Crusaders, well, the answer is I've always wanted to. I was afraid to leave my tribe, but it always haunted me that I'd die in a world where 4 Crusades could do nothing to stop the beasts from the abyss, and the number of victims kept growing. I want to change that, or at least try to. And if changing things is too much to ask, then at least get a little revenge. The ones who are behind the world wound owe me a great debt. The lives of 4 brothers, all my mother's tears, my father's broken heart. It's a lot. It's so much that killing a couple demons won't do it for me. I want to do something real, and I'm ready to pay any price. Call it my personal crusade if you like. Land gives you a slanted grin. I used to think that things would be better if I'd never been born, but now I think I was born for this, to settle the score. Why didn't you go up and join the Crusaders before? Couldn't just abandon my tribe. I'm their best hunter. They'll have it much harder without me, but now that the demons have nearly destroyed Canabris, and the caves almost collapsed on our heads, sitting and waiting it out just wasn't an option anymore. Anyway, I'm more useful up here than I am down there. Plus, Chief let me go, which means my debt to the tribe has been paid. Would you like to find your mother? No. The word flies out of Lan's mouth faster than any arrow. Then after a pause, he continues, I don't want to meet her. Not because I feel any resentment, it's just that she's half-elf. She's barely got her first gray hair, and I'll be a ramshackle old man. She's buried enough children. There's no need to make her witness the death of another one. I hope you understand. Your parents' love didn't survive hardship, but that doesn't mean the same thing will happen to you. What if you find true love, someone who won't leave you no matter what? And break my beloved's heart when I die in her arms 5 years later? That's a fine thing to do to a person you love. Then again, there's a chance I'll inspire a tragic bard to write a tearful ballad. Thanks for sharing, Lan. Thanks for listening. Mongrels have short lifespans, but you don't look you're getting old or dying. How old are you? Lan chuckles. I'm as old as I look. No surprises there. But remember Sol? He's 10 years older than me. I remember him when he was a fearless warrior, and day by day I watched him turn into an old man. Him and my father. It happens very quickly. First you miss a shot because you don't see the target as clearly as you're used to. You think it's because your eyes are tired, and you tell yourself it'll get better tomorrow. Then you notice you're having trouble breathing. That climbing is harder than before. Lan clenches and unclenches his human fist. Your fingers stop bending. You have to tie your sword to your hand. You can't even put on your greaves without help. When you're washing your face in the stream, sometimes you catch sight of a gray-haired, wrinkled old man you don't recognize, and this goes on until one day you come across a cave beast and realize you can't outrun it. Lan takes a deep breath. My dad kept diaries marking all the signs, and I saw it too. The last year, I had to help him get out of bed, help him dress, remind him to eat. Sometimes he forgot my name. I told him that we should have stayed on the surface, and he joked that dodging a goddess was behavior unworthy of a crusader. He meant Pharasma. Every morning, I woke up and check how I feel, but there are no signs yet. Even so, I know I don't have much time. I need to do something useful before I forget why I came here. So, can you wear a hat with your one horn? Sure I can, but certain designs don't suit me too well. Lan speaks in a deadly serious voice. I want to talk about Wendawag. Are you sure? Lan sighs. Alright. Tell me about your connection to Wendawag. My connection to Wendawag? I mean, where do I start? Lan turns the unexpressive reptile half of his face to you. We grew up together, trained together. She was the chief's daughter. She was groomed to be the best all her life, and then I came along. We were rivals. But we dragged each other out of tight spots too. I've always been drawn to grand heroic gestures, sometimes idiotic ones, whereas Wendy liked to roam unexplored passages, finding new caves and making maps. She wanted to be a great huntress, the one who'd make it through the shield maze, but instead she... Lan shakes her head. It would be better if she had died. The death of a friend is painful, but watching a friend become a shadow of their former self is unbearable. She doesn't think that she's a shadow of her former self. Of course, she thinks she did everything right, because the second she starts to doubt herself, she'll have to face the truth, to admit that she's just a cannibal that demons use as they wish. Lan's frown looks almost like a wince. He wants to get stronger and stronger, but for what? I'll never understand what drives her. Were you just friends, or were you more than that? Wow, you really don't pull your punches, do you? Lan exhales loudly. There was a time when I asked myself the same question. Wendawag knew me better than anyone. She understood me better than anyone. She was the first girl I ever, but we never loved each other. Maybe I could have grown to love her, but it always seemed like she had never understood what love was. Maybe she just wasn't capable of those kinds of feelings. Alright, that's everything I wanted to know. Thanks, Lan. Sure thing. Oh, there's way more. Well, tell me about your people. Oh my god, there's so much. Alright, well, let's get to it then. Of course, what would you like to know? What's it like living in caves? Oh, Lan gives you a broad smile. His smile is strange, as if it falters where his human features meet his animal ones. Imagine that in the entire world there's only a few hundred like you. There's not an inch of fertile ground anywhere, nowhere to grow grain for bread, or cotton and linen for cloth. Your neighbors are beasts who want to eat you, or parasites who want to infect you with their larvae and then eat you. It's not that bad, because you can try to eat most of the things that are trying to eat you, sometimes at the risk of getting poisoned, sometimes with almost no risk at all. In the worst years, there's not a single living thing to be found, predator or prey. That's when you eat mushroom soup. I'd say 3 times a day, but there was barely enough for once every 3 days. Land shrugs, but the life underground has its upsides, pun intended. There's no risk of losing the roof over your head, there's no bad weather, not counting the earthquakes of course. Are you really descendants of the first Crusaders? More like demon spawn, aren't we? Sad but true. Without the demons, there'd be no mongrels. It's the magic of the world wound that affected our ancestors and made the children the way we are. Like most in our tribe, Chief still fancies himself a descendant of the underground Crusaders, the ones our heroic ancestors left to guard the caves. I don't know if it's true or not. That angel came down to our caves for a reason. Maybe he remembered us. Those were evil and dangerous times after the First Crusade. Hundreds of Crusaders began having children, and the babies were born with fangs and horns and warts that covered half their face. People didn't like the new look. The Inquisitors sure didn't. So our ancestors fled persecution and made a home for themselves down there under the ground. They probably intended to find a cure for their children and hoped to return in time, but it never happened. Instead, the Whirlwind's terrible legacy was passed down from generation to generation. Mongrel parents can only guess what their child will look like. Each of us is born with a new mutation. Many mutations are fatal. Land stops and then goes on quietly. Down in the caves, we usually don't congratulate the family for the birth of a child until they turn at least 3. Most don't even get a name before that. There's no point. It hasn't been that long since the First Crusade. Why do you know so little about your ancestors? Our lives are much shorter than Uplanders. Up here, only a few generations passed, and many still live who remember old Sarkoris, as it stood untouched by the demons, Queen Galfrey for example. But where we live, mongrels start getting old much earlier than humans, much faster and with much more devastating consequences. Few live past 40, and fewer still live long enough to die of old age. Hunger, disease, and monsters from the deep are more effective killers than time. So for us, the story of the First Crusade is a legend that happened generations ago. There are no living witnesses. We have a tale of the wise and great ancestors who left us to guard the catacombs. But in reality, I suspect they were desperate wretches who couldn't figure out how to dispel the demonic plague, and who were abandoned by their own kind. Do you wait until day and night? You can't see the sun in your caves. Every Mongol settlement has a big gong, which we treat like a relic. The gong keeper hits it twice a day to mark the beginning and end, but this custom doesn't keep time very precisely. Every Mongol child has snuck up to this gong to strike it at the wrong time at least once out of pure mischief. Nothing could keep me away from it, not even the fact that I only had one ear, which means I could take double the punishment once I was caught. So sometimes the wrong strikes get mixed in with the right ones, and the tribe can find itself jumping up to greet the morning in the middle of the night. Do the tribes fight each other? There were some skirmishes, and I've been forced to kill my kinfolk before too. Lan speaks in a steady voice. Fights most often break out over food. We have laws in the caves, written and unwritten rules that we follow. We respect one another's right to live, but hunger, it can push a person over the edge. I've never, you can count on that, stolen someone else's kill, but I can understand those of my kin who tried. To hear your kids begging for food and not be able to feed them is terrifying. He frowns and goes silent. You're the only member of the Nethome tribe to call you people mongrels. Why is that? Because all of Golarion calls us that. I don't see the point of this hemming and hawing over what we're called. Any person who finds it offensive or takes issue with it can lead the charge against the name. No one's stopping him, but personally, I'm not going to pick a fight over something as unimportant as a name. That's everything I need to know. What do you think of life on the surface? It must be very different from the underground. Of course, as far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a better place. It's easier to get good food and water, not to mention build a house, and even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats, or maybe foxes stealing chickens. As for the kind of lives you have, I heard a story about demon worshippers abducting a whole family and sacrificing them one by one while others watched. But there were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they killed the villains and saved everyone. I heard another story. A young blacksmith lost his arm in a fire and couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their best and lived from hand to mouth, but they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a traveler one night on the road. But there were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after that, the wife smothered their baby and hanged herself. Up here, the same person can proudly say he's protecting the innocent from demons and then look the other way. Well, the same innocent starves, just because they were born into a poor family. Queen Galfrey prolongs her life with sun orchid elixirs that cost enough to feed an entire city. Back in our caves, everyone is equally poor, and if one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't abandon our own in times of trouble. That's the power of a tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that some get everything and others get nothing. I may just be a naive fool from the caves, but I don't understand how it's possible to have so much more and share so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking to. You must know life on the surface much better than I do. I would never leave a needy person in trouble. I've been given more than most, which means I'm now more able to help others. A fitting reply. Don't take my words as a reproach. I like grumbling as much as I like cracking jokes. Lan is obviously trying to muster a friendly smile, but it's an expression that his face doesn't accommodate very naturally. You said you were prepared to risk your life to do something meaningful. What did you mean exactly? To invent a new salad and have it named after me, Lan remarks grimly, then he sighs. Truth be told, I don't know. It'd be much easier if all I really wanted to do was kill demons, and then a few more demons, and then more demons after that. A good honest rage and no needless brooding. I actually think I envy the warriors who can live like that. But I can't. If light taught me anything, it's that there are no easy choices. Dying a glorious death isn't enough. Some heroes of the Crusades did that, and also saved entire settlements, erected the wardstones. Their actions kept the lands of Mendiv safe for decades. That's what I want. For my dumb, short life to have meant something. You think I have an exaggerated opinion of myself? Some scaly freak crawls out of the caves and wants to take control of the wardstones and flaunt Iomeda's banner? Any fool can charge out the front lines of a demonic army and die there. What good will that do? I want something meaningful, you know? Even if I have to pay the highest price, even if I have to pay it. There are plenty of worthier people who need to survive this war, and everyone else. What nutcase? And tell everyone else what nutcases we are. It's early in the morning, reading's hard. Thanks for your answers. So long. I actually think we're gonna end the video. Well, we could probably do one more conversation. That was a very long conversation. Apparently, Lan has much to say. Let's try Camellia.
Let us be off.
Camellia might have some things to say. Camellia looks at you over pensively, toying the snake-shaped bone amulet that dangles from her pale neck. Noticing your glance, she flashes you a cold, barely there smile. Greetings. It seems for a moment that the girl wants to say something else, but the pause grows too long, and she slips back into cautious silence. Tell me about yourself. You want to know more about me than you already do? Why? Camellia arches a dainty brow. I talk to the spirits of this tormented land, and they guide me in battle. I'll help you fight the demons, and I swear that you can rely on me in this matter. Isn't that sufficient? Where'd you learn to wield a rapier so well? I had good teachers so that they don't get all the credit. I am a most diligent student. Camellia licks her parched lips. The amulet is quite unusual. Where'd you get it? Ah, my little trinket. It's so nice of you to notice, but I assure you this amulet is nothing but a bauble. Can a lady not be drawn to beautiful, useless things? Anyway, as much as I enjoy our delightful conversations, the spirits are calling me and I must respond. Please excuse me. Camellia turns away, watching you out of the corner of her eye. We're not done. Your speech tells me that you are of noble birth. Camellia laughs her practiced musical laugh as she watches you from under lowered lashes. You are most insightful, a fine quality to have. Camellia's laughter ends, and unspoken words hang in the silence. There's nothing wrong with being noble. People are not born equal. I wouldn't have pegged you as a philosopher. I guess that's it. I won't keep you. Alrighty. Sorry, Camellia. We're sorry to bug you. You're obviously busy. So we talked to Staunton, we talked to Lan, we talked to Camellia. We can talk to Jernog over here. We can also talk to Hillor. Oh no, wait, Hiller's a long conversation. Never mind. A tall, athletic man greets you. His hair is prematurely gray and shorn close to his head in a military style. He's lean and well-groomed, and a monocle twinkles coldly in his eye. The bolt out of his jaw and his large but agile frame attests that here is a man who is always ready to be on the move. Greetings, I'm Hillor, Venture Captain of the Pathfinder Society. I'm the superior officer among the Pathfinders of the region of Mendiv. However, the Society is running almost no operations here right now. Besides me, there's almost no Pathfinders here. Actually, I'm only stuck here because of an old feud with a demon worshipper known as the Spinner of Nightmares. I've had to work alone without the support of the Society, but made a lot of acquaintances among the local mercenaries and daring fighters. If you need any good fighters for an honest cause, talk to me. Tell me about the confrontation with the Spinner of Nightmares. It all began with the task of the Pathfinder Society. I arrived in Nerosian with my team to investigate the sudden death of a famous crusader, Baron Falrun. We soon focused in on a small hospital for the wealthy, where Falrun was being treated shortly before his death. It turned out that a gang of Baphomet's cultists, calling themselves the Labyrinth of the Mind, had gotten a foothold at the hospital. They were obsessed with twisting the minds of their victims, and targeted fragile people too weak to resist. The hospital was filled with perfect victims, isolated for weeks from the outside world, completely helpless, and when they returned, they were different, almost normal. But the moment they heard a certain phrase, something dark awoke in their minds, and they transformed into servants of Baphomet, ready to lie, betray, and even kill. The Labyrinth of the Mind was prepared to infiltrate all the elite circles in Mendiv, but Baron Falrun stopped them. He was too loyal to his oath and too resistant to their spells. He fought for his freedom until the strain broke his heart. We opened and cleaned the city of Baphomet's pit of vipers. Their den was a cradle of sin and filth. They cast spells on each other, and their loathsome fantasies stepped real from their minds into the world. They dreamt of horrible and forbidden things, and they fought like mad. We burned the place to the ground and slaughtered everyone we could, but the leaders of the cult were able to flee, and they were set upon revenge. They abducted my daughter Luri, who served under my command in the Pathfinder Society. They left me a note full of tart insults, mockery, and sneers. From that note I learned the name of my enemy, the Spinner of Nightmares. A few months later I confirmed that she was the leader of the Labyrinth of Mind. My hunt had begun. I would get Lori back at any cost. Lori grits his teeth with bulldog determination. Tell me more about you. What exactly you're interested in? I'm a common Pathfinder. There are many others like me. Fate and my orders brought me to this land. How'd you end up here? I was working on an assignment for the Pathfinder Society, and then a demon worshipper named the Spinner of Nightmares abducted my daughter Lori. For the past 3 years I've been trying to save her. During this time, I've become a specialist in scouting demon territory. I've even planted agents among the cultists. Truth be told, in pursuing the Spinner of Nightmares, I've been acting more on behalf of Queen Galfrey than the Pathfinder Society. It's a long story, maybe I'll tell you the rest of it sometime. Pillar frowns. The Spinner of Nightmares is a true spawn of the Abyss. I've fought her many times, but I've never been able to seize her by the throat. Tell me about your daughter. Pillar smiles, showing his healthy white teeth. As a girl, Lori was just an angel. We lost her mother early on. She was left to follow my example, a drifter with little idea of how to talk to a 10-year-old girl. But even with such questionable parenting, Lori managed to grow into a wonderful girl, brave, smart, beautiful, and entirely unbearable. She always argued with me about everything. When Lori was 18 and told me she was going to be a Pathfinder, all I said was, alright. I knew there was no use to try and talk her out of it, and she was a fine Pathfinder. Pillar's fist clenches with a painful sounding crack. I'll never forgive the Spinner of Nightmares for taking my girl from me. Tell me about the Society. The Pathfinder Society is a global organization that unites opportunists and adventurers of all kinds. We explore the world and uncover its secrets, travel, and sometimes face down threats. In times of trouble, the latter becomes our primary focus. We're driven by curiosity and the desire to make the world a better place, and of course, some seek profit or hunger for glory. But in any case, it's hard work. They might send you somewhere on a mission. Weaklings have little place. Anywhere on a mission. Weaklings have little place in the Society. It's more for seasoned fighters. There are Society lodges in many cities. The closest one is in Nerosian. They're each led by venture captains, lads like me. The Grand Lodge is in Absalom, the center of the world. The Decemvirate sits there, anonymous council of our leaders. Okay, no more questions. So you can retrain your fighters here, and you can also hire mercenaries here. Mercenaries are kind of expensive. $4,500. That amount's unacceptable. It's very, very expensive. You can also retrain. But we're not going to do that either, because we have trained our people the way we like to. I realized that we didn't actually level up Sela wrong. I thought when I was doing my Evil campaign playthrough, I thought we had done something wrong, but we actually got her the level of Vivisectionist instead of a second level of Bard. I thought I'd put a Paladin level in by accident, but we're fine. Everything is A-okay with that. So, I'm going to leave you guys here. Like always, if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.